Hey everyone. The first question that might arise in your mind is why should you watch our videos? So, I would like to help you by briefing about our channel. With us, you're gonna have an vintage experience where we talk and you listen. So, let's get started. The first novel that we are gonna narrate is She Friendzoned My Love by Sudeep Nagarkar. I highly recommend to use earphones for better experience. The four characters upon whom we concentrate are Apurva, Amaira, Ritwik, and Sia. The prologue leaves us with a mystery about Apurva and his love being friendzoned. Apurva was a teenager who had eyes on countless girls and he was desperate to get into a relationship since his high school days. Yet, he was never able to do so, and all the tubes of Fair and Handsome went to a drastic waste. Dear Diet, let's break up. Sia was pissed off due to never-ending dietary restriction her mom had put on her. Her mom had made chole bhature for her dad, but Sia was not even allowed to touch it as she was instructed to follow a diet by her relative who was a dietitian. But like any other foodie, having food made her feel better and happier. However, everyone in her life made her feel bad about being overweight. Gradually, she thought no one liked her and she lost her confidence. She had slept with a hungry stomach and in the middle of the night her stomach started growling. So she went into the kitchen, grabbed a bag of chips, cookies and some chole bhature. In the morning, when her alarm rang, she was already awake. She changed into her uniform and rushed outside her room as she liked reaching school early. As Sia grabbed her lunchbox, she was made to sit at the dining table and her mom inquired her about sneaking into the kitchen the last night. Sia got angry and said that she was not interested in diet and showed her anger by hitting her fist on the table. And that is when her dad ordered her to sit and asked her about her future plans. In response, Sia said that she wanted to be a fashion designer, listening to which her dad taunted her by saying that they were already dealing with her overweight and would not take part in her fashion designing drama. Sia's dad said that he was trying to get her admission into the best science colleges. Sia got annoyed and said that she had never told him to get her seat in the science colleges as she was not at all interested in it. Sia's mom, in reply, said to her to take some inspiration from her friend Amaira, who had already decided to take science after college. Sia felt criticized as her friend was praised, and in reality, only you know what your friends really are. Sia knew she could never win an argument with her parents, so she nodded and agreed. She always wanted to be a fashion designer and she could pursue it even after her higher secondary school. It was her passion and she wanted to prove herself to the world. Anyhow, her weight was another problem. She hated it when someone called her fat. She hated that she couldn't wear certain types of clothes despite her love for designing them. Most of all, she hated that no boy was interested in her. The only person who never commented on her weight was Amaira. Although she wasn't very close to her, she liked her a lot. There was one minor problem. That is, Amaira's boyfriend Ishan was Sia's crush. Amaira groaned as her younger sister woke her up. She waved her arms around, hitting Nivi on the face. Amaira was a lively person and she believed in spreading happiness and positivity. She never worried about what others thought about her or her dressing sense. Many of the girls envied her as boys would rule over her. Amaira was kind and her inner beauty made her more desirable. Being in her company was like being warmed by sun rays regardless of weather. Amaira was not at all a morning person, but she realized that she had planned to meet Ishan and Pihu before school. After getting dressed, she rushed to school and was surprised to find no one else other than the school guard. After waiting for quite an hour, Ishan came and she was pissed off for being late, but with his cute apology, she forgot everything and hugged him. There seemed to be no one else on campus, and Ishan pulled her close to kiss her. Lovebirds, I am sorry to interrupt you. Pihu had finally arrived. Before Amaira could scold her, Pihu began mimicking Amaira. Where the hell were you? You just don't care about promises, blah blah blah. Listening to which, Amira got angry and started walking towards the washroom. Piyu joined her. Then Amira and Piyu started their regular gossip session. As Amira and Piyu were sisters from another mister, they shared everything, even Piyu planning to lose her virginity. They were there for each other in the times of good and the bad. Sia, as usual, reached early to school as it was the only time when she was free from taunts and laughter. Walking in the corridors, she saw Ishan leaning near the door of girls' washroom. Every time she saw him, her heart skipped a beat. She found perfections in his imperfections. They exchanged some words when Amira and Piyu came out of the washroom. They greeted her good morning in unison. Sia took a leave and headed towards class as she never wanted to disturb them. As she walked, a group of girls mocked her for her exposed thighs. Sia was tired of listening the same thing every single day. Attempting to hide her thighs, Sia lowered her backpack and pulled her skirt down. As she entered the class, everyone stared at her, which made her uncomfortable. All of a sudden, "Are you okay?" Amira asked as she sat on the bench in the front. Sia was shocked as no one had ever asked her anything of such kind. She felt it might be three simple words for Amira, but those three caring words meant the whole world to Sia. Amira assured Sia with a smile that being fat was okay. At the end of the class, teacher made Sia to wait and gave her some pills which would help her to lose weight. She grabbed those pills and ran downstairs to the back of the building where she knew she could be alone. As the tears streamed down her cheeks, she constantly kept thinking to cut extra pads with a pair of old scissors, if it were only that simple. Her life in the school became almost unbearable once Amira suddenly left the school before the beginning of final years. She was never able to know why had Amira left the school and what had happened between Amira, Pihu and Ishan. With Amira gone, Sia stopped talking to Ishan and concentrated on her exams as she knew her parents would give her hell if she scored below expectation. Level college unlocked. It is said that time is the solution to the most of the human problems, but in Sia's case, life had become more complicated. After scoring good marks, she took admission into science college as her parents dreamed about her future. As she completed 10th, she was not in contact with any of her friends, nor did her classmates do so. Even her absence during farewell was unnoticed. Amira had disappeared from Sia's life until the day she found Amira on Facebook. Sia didn't use Facebook much, and it was just a means for her newsfeed. Even her profile pic was a cute cartoon that she had found online. It was clear that she was tormented by being overweight. Deciding what to wear to college was a torture. That day was no different. After rejecting half a closet, she finally decided to wear a pair of culottes. Just before she left the house, she saw an unread message from Amira which made her feel better. Message said that she had got admission into the same college as Sia's. After leaving school in the 9th grade, Amira had never tried to be in contact with Ishan and Pihu due to their personal issues. After chatting for a while, they decided to meet in the college. Although Sia was happy to meet Amira, she was terrified too. The lectures had already begun, but Sia waited for Amira. When idea of asking Amira's whereabouts popped into Sia's head, she heard a familiar voice. It was Amira who occupied a seat opposite to her. Sia started asking about Amira's sudden dropout from school, but soon she realized that Amira wasn't comfortable, and listening to Pihu's name turned Amira's expression into sad one. Having realized this, Sia left the matter at the right time. They started talking about Amira's breakup with Ishan, Sia's crush, and Amira with her mischievous grin admitted that she knew about Sia's crush on her boyfriend Ishan. Amira said Ishan was a pathetic kisser, and how he had chewed her lower lip when she had kissed him for the first time, and finally had to give lame excuse that she smacked her face against a pole on bus as suggested by a pawn shop vendor. Listening to this, Sia started ruffling, and instead of attending classes, she helped Amira with all her enrollment office paperwork. It was their first chemistry practical session, and Sia wanted Amira to come before partners were allotted. Sia texted Amira to ask about her whereabouts, but she didn't get any reply. After roll calls, professor instructed them to stand with their partner, and he instructed Sia to go to table number 4, which was already occupied by a couple who had no interest in things going on around them. They even ignored Sia's attempt to talk to them. Sia felt bad for not having anyone along her side, and suddenly she heard, "Hi," from the boy next table. She didn't believe what she had just heard, and it was for the first time in 16 years that someone had actually tried to start a conversation with her. Anyhow, she heard, "I am Ritvik." She didn't know how to react to him. He asked her, "At least tell me your name." He didn't seem to be affected by her shocked expression. "I am Sia," she replied. Ritvik asked if she could join him in the practicals as his friend Apurva hadn't come yet. He held out his hand and asked, "Friends?" She was still in dilemma and moved to his table but didn't shake hands. Ritvik asked her why she was so embarrassed. Was it because she's soft, cute, and bit chubby? Listening to which, Sia felt like it was a dream for a boy to say her so. Suddenly, her phone beeped, indicating a text from Amira. She was standing outside the lab wearing denim shorts and a t-shirt. She asked if she could come into the class, but Professor looked at his watch and gave her a stern look. "Is this the time to come to class?" he asked. "I am so sorry," said Amira, but Professor was still angry and started commenting on her dressing. Amira was embarrassed at being publicly humiliated. She could feel all the boys ogling her like she was piece of meat, but none of those bothered her, but it made her feel self-conscious and angry. She left without looking at anyone and went to the canteen. Amira didn't really care about slut-shaming, having faced it so often. But it was her first day and she was excited. She really wanted someone to say her that there was nothing wrong with wearing what she wanted. She hoped someone would tell her that it was absolutely fine to be herself. "Leave me alone." Apurva too had chemistry practicals, but he hadn't come yet, so Ritvik called him to ask about his whereabouts. Apurva said that he was still in the train at the other station. When Apurva finally got down at station, he saw a man beating a poor girl. Upon asking, the man said that the girl had stolen bun and hadn't paid for it. Immediately, Apurva paid that man 50 rupees and gave a roll to the girl from his lunchbox. Ritvik called Apurva and said that professor wasn't allowing anyone to come to the class if they were late. So Apurva headed towards the college canteen. Apurva was not so good looking but was good of a heart. He had coffee-colored skin tone and he used to spend most of his money and time at the saloon. The tragedy of his life was that he never had a girlfriend. Every time he used to propose a girl, he was being friend-zoned. So he had started to write blogs. At the canteen, Apurva ordered for a Coke and a chicken sandwich, and like everyone, he too wanted his order to be served first. As he was standing at the corner scrolling Facebook, he saw a gorgeous girl in shorts, but he didn't look at her instantly as she would think that he was a pervert. Lost in her beauty, he took a sip of Amira's coffee thinking that it was his Coke. Amira got irritated and left the place immediately, considering that Apurva had done so intentionally. When Sia came to Amira after their practicals, she asked if she was still angry on Professor, but Amira denied and said that she had met one idiot and took a leave from there towards her home. Amira was thinking that Apurva was nothing but a weirdo. Apurva thought that she was more than a crush and thoughts about her made him smile. Almost a week passed by. Ritvik and Apurva became close friends, and on the other hand, Amira made some new friends in the class, and Sia didn't find it right to come in between them, as then she would become butt of every joke. Gradually, they limited their interactions to hellos and goodbyes. It was again that time of the week when they had to pair up in lab. Ritvik and Apurva were already there, and Ritvik was suggesting Apurva to register his name for the play next semester. Ritvik drew face of a chubby girl on the board and wrote Chubby Q Sia. All of this effort was to make her realize how beautiful she was and to make her feel better about herself. Realizing that there was still half an hour before the class starts, they walked downstairs to the registration desk. While returning to the class, Apurva saw Amira at the college gate, so he ran towards her and said Ritvik to attend class. Before Ritvik could say anything, Apurva had already ran away. Ritvik felt something was wrong as he entered the class, and he saw some students had written very bad comments about Sia and she being fat. Ritvik felt bad and he wanted to erase it before Sia could see it, but he came to know that she had already seen it. Ritvik felt guilty and wanted to apologize to Sia for his drawing, as it was the main reason that other students got a chance to pass comments. It was a normal day for Sia, and she wanted to sit at home and sketch, but her dad being at home, she felt going to college was a better option. Entering the class, she felt something was wrong, and when she saw the board, she was horrified as they had spared nothing. There were comments about her body, her clothes, and even her character. Unable to take it any longer, she ran home and locked herself in her room, as she knew that she had no power left to answer her parents' questions about coming early from college. She felt broken and started avoiding going to college. Some days she pretended to be ill and sometimes simply wandered around. Like any other teenager, she was desperately seeking some sort of validation. Out of desperation, she tried browsing for tips to make her feel less terrible. She landed on a forum where people were talking about their problems when suddenly a message flashed across the screen, and it conveyed a message about self-harming and asked, "Are you ready to take the challenge? If yes, click here to join the group." Before really thinking about anything, she joined the group and she was asked if she was ready to take Blue Whale Challenge. And without thinking twice, Sia was all ready to find happiness and conquer her fears by hurting herself and finally dying. But it was not too late that she realized that she had taken a drastic step, but she felt chained as she was sure that they were spying her and there was no way out because they had threatened to kill her parents. On the 14th day, she was forced to download the app and she terribly felt something was wrong and she wanted to post about her current situation, but she remembered the threats if she did so. Voices in her head had taken control over her actions, and she was about to win the Blue Whale Challenge at the cost of losing the challenge of life. In small part of her brain, she still wanted to return to her friends and parents. She had reached College Terrace, prepared to take her life. As soon as the clock struck 9, Sia let the suicide note fall from her hands and stepped up to the edge, ready to jump. Thank you for hearing us. Make sure you subscribe our channel and press the bell icon for latest upcoming videos. Thank you.